Blakelively really thought she could quietly close the book on this whole Justinbaldoni mess and move on like nothing happened. But girl, the internet is not letting that happen. And now that more details about the settlement are leaking out, people are starting to realize just how messy things apparently got behind the scenes. Everybody thought this would end with some dramatic courtroom moment or a giant payout, but instead what we're hearing is that Blake allegedly had to back down on one major demand that she was pushing hard for from the very beginning. And honestly, if these reports are true, it explains why Baldoni's side suddenly looks so confident right now. So apparently the thing that almost destroyed the settlement completely was Blakelively wanting a strict NDA. And when people heard that, the reactions online were immediate because suddenly everyone started to ask the same question. If Blake felt fully secure in her version of events, why was shutting everyone up such a huge priority? According to Rob Shooter, Blake's team allegedly pushed aggressively for nobody involved to speak publicly about the situation ever again. No interviews, no books, no My Truth documentaries, nothing. Just complete silence forever. But Justinbaldoni's side reportedly refused to budge. And honestly, that changed everything because Justinbaldoni's camp has spent months acting like they want every single receipt out in the open. They've been hinting nonstop that they're comfortable with transparency, that they have evidence, timelines, messages, footage, all of it. So the idea of signing an NDA and then sitting quietly while narratives continued floating around about him was apparently a complete non-starter. And people online are saying Baldoni knew exactly what he was doing there. If he signed silence papers, Blake's side could theoretically continue controlling public perception while he stays legally gagged. That would have been a disaster for him. So, according to the reports, Blake eventually backed down because Baldoni's side was fully prepared to keep fighting this publicly if they had to. And now everybody is suddenly realizing what this means long-term. Because without an NDA, both sides technically have the freedom to keep talking. That means interviews, that means podcasts, that means documentaries, that means somebody eventually writing a book. And let's be honest here. If Justinbaldoni ever sits down for a full and censored interview about this entire situation, the internet is going to explode. People are already joking that it'll become appointment television. And then things got even worse for Blake after the judge reportedly shut down her request for additional briefing connected to the legal fee situation. Because apparently Blake's team still wants money connected to damages and legal expenses even after the settlement. And the judge's response was extremely short and cold. Basically, the court does not require additional briefing at this time. That one sentence had legal commentators spiraling. Because sometimes the shortest responses say the most. People immediately started interpreting it as the judge basically saying, "I've heard enough already." And now social media is acting like this could be the final symbolic loss in the entire saga if a request eventually gets denied completely. What makes this even messier is that people are now revisiting old clips and interviews looking for signs that things behind the scenes were already falling apart months ago. One moment getting dragged everywhere right now is that awkward interview clip where Colleen Hoover casually mentions seeing footage online and Blake suddenly looks visibly uncomfortable for a split second. It's one of those tiny moments that probably wouldn't have mattered before, but now everybody is dissecting body language like FBI agents. And once the internet starts doing body language analysis, you already know it's over. People are also bringing back the allegations surrounding deleted dailies and the claims about footage being removed or hidden. Blake reportedly denied telling anyone to delete footage, but critics online are now pointing toward alleged emails that supposedly contradict that. Whether any of it becomes legally significant is another story, but in celebrity gossip world, perception becomes reality fast. And right now, perception online has shifted massively compared to where this story started. Meanwhile, Ryanreynolds tried to post a sweet Mother's Day tribute to Blake, and even that somehow became controversial because literally everything attached to the situation turns into discourse now. Ryan called Blake this mother in his post, and people instantly started clowning the wording online. But underneath the jokes, there's actually a bigger conversation. A lot of people are debating whether someone can simultaneously be a good parent and still allegedly make reckless or selfish decisions professionally. And honestly, that's where the story gets weirdly human. Because even people criticizing Blake still admit she probably loves her kids and family deeply, but critics are arguing that ambition, Ego, Hollywood power struggles, and wanting control over a project can sometimes push celebrities into situations where they overplay their hand. And a lot of people think that's exactly what happened here. The phrase everybody keeps repeating is "flew too close to the sun." Like Blake and Ryan became so powerful, so untouchable in Hollywood that they stopped believing anyone would ever seriously challenge them publicly. But Justinbaldoni, and now the entire celebrity gossip universe, is watching to see who speaks first now that the settlement is done. Justinbaldoni honestly went from being treated like the awkward guy nobody expected to survive Hollywood drama to suddenly becoming the calm, composed center of this entire scandal. And the craziest part is that people online are now saying the biggest mistake Blake Lively's team made was underestimating how patient Baldoni would be. Because instead of screaming on Instagram every 5 minutes or doing emotional interviews immediately, he mostly stayed quiet while all the chaos kept building around him. And now that the settlement is over, people feel like he's sitting there holding a stack of receipts while everyone waits for him to finally open the folder. You can already see the public mood shifting. Even commentators who originally stayed neutral are starting to say Blake walked away with basically nothing. No massive victory speech, no public apology from Baldoni, no huge financial payout being celebrated online. And the fact that there's reportedly no NDA attached anymore, that part especially has people talking, because celebrity settlements usually thrive on silence. Hollywood loves burying things quietly, but this situation feels different now. And honestly, some people think Blake backing away from the NDA demand may have been the moment she realized trial discovery could become even uglier. Because once lawyers start digging publicly, every text, every email, every production note, every behind-the-scenes conversation suddenly becomes fair game. And for celebrities who carefully manage public image, that possibility is terrifying, especially when the internet already thinks there are inconsistencies floating around. That's why people are now obsessing over the alleged delete the daily situation. Critics online keep bringing up the timeline, pointing out that Blake reportedly denied asking for footage deletion during depositions, while emails supposedly suggest otherwise. Again, legally that's for the courts and lawyers to sort out, but socially, the gossip world already made up its mind. And once social media decides someone looks dishonest, it becomes almost impossible to reverse the momentum. What's making this even worse for Blake is that random old moments are suddenly being reinterpreted through a completely different lens. People are revisiting interviews, premiere appearances, body language clips, wardrobe choices, everything. There's even this bizarre theory spreading online that Blake intentionally wore a Britney Spears-inspired dress at one event because Justinbaldoni had publicly admired Britney in the past. Now look, that might absolutely be people reaching. The internet loves conspiracy-level celebrity analysis, but the fact people are even looking for hidden taunts tells you how suspicious audiences have become of every interaction connected to this movie. And once audiences start viewing everything as calculated, celebrities lose the benefit of the doubt fast. Meanwhile, Ryanreynolds is getting dragged into the conversation more heavily, too. At first, people mostly viewed him as the supportive husband standing beside Blake. But now, critics are starting to question whether Ryan allegedly played a bigger role behind the scenes than originally believed. Especially because Ryan has built this ultra-carefully crafted public image for years. Funny guy, charming husband, internet king. But scandals hit harder when someone's image feels too polished, because audiences almost enjoy seeing the mask crack a little. That's why every tiny thing Ryan says now gets analyzed like a courtroom exhibit. Even his Mother's Day post turned into debate material. Some people thought it was sweet, others thought it sounded overly performative considering the timing. And then there's another group saying Ryan and Blake are both desperately trying to shift public focus back toward family image because legally and publicly the professional side of the situation became impossible to spin positively anymore. And honestly, the internet might never fully let this go because celebrity culture today feeds on long-term narratives. This isn't old Hollywood anymore, where scandals disappear after one magazine cycle. Now, everything gets clipped, reposted, memed, dissected, and rediscovered forever. You can already feel the setup happening for Baldoni's eventual public return, too. People are practically begging for the interview announcement at this point. Everyone wants to know who gets the exclusive sit-down, who gets the first and censored version of events. And the thing that's fascinating is Baldoni doesn't even have to be overly aggressive anymore. Public opinion has already started shifting naturally in his favor, just from people feeling exhausted by the contradictions and PR chaos surrounding Blake's side. That's what makes this so brutal from a reputation standpoint. Because sometimes losing publicly isn't about court documents or money. Sometimes it's simply losing the audience emotionally, and right now Blake Lively's biggest problem might be that people no longer trust the performance. They're questioning every move before she even makes it. Meanwhile, Hollywood itself is allegedly starting to distance quietly, too. There are rumors floating around that some luxury fashion brands weren't eager to work with Blake recently, and that major industry people are becoming cautious around the controversy. Again, rumors are rumors, but perception matters enormously in celebrity culture. Studios hate messy PR storms, especially when they drag on for months. And now people are comparing this entire situation to other celebrity downfalls, where stars became so insulated by fame that they genuinely believed they could control every outcome. That's why the phrase, "too powerful for too long," keeps appearing in gossip circles. Critics think Blake and Ryan got used to being untouchable Hollywood royalty and didn't expect someone like Justinbaldoni to fight back this hard publicly. But now the settlement is done. The judge seems increasingly impatient, and everybody's waiting for the next move. And somehow, despite all the lawyers, statements, PR teams, and carefully worded headlines, the biggest thing hurting Blake right now might simply be the internet feeling like they caught someone trying too hard to control the story. And honestly, once the public starts believing a celebrity is trying to control the narrative too aggressively, everything after that becomes 10 times harder. Every interview feels staged. Every paparazzi walk feels planned. Every emotional statement suddenly gets treated like PR strategy instead of genuine emotion. And that's exactly the corner Blake Lively seems stuck in right now, because even when she stays quiet, people assume there's a reason behind the silence. And when she speaks, people immediately start searching for inconsistencies. That's a nightmare position for any celebrity to be in. Meanwhile, Justinbaldoni's image has weirdly transformed into this almost untouchable calm survivor archetype online. People are now painting him like the guy who quietly sat there while Hollywood power players allegedly tried to steamroll him. Whether that perception is fully fair or not honestly doesn't even matter anymore, because perception drives celebrity culture. And right now, Baldoni's supporters are treating the settlement like proof that he stood his ground and refused to let himself get buried. The no NDA detail especially changed everything, because now people genuinely believe the story is nowhere near finished. In fact, some gossip commentators are saying the settlement may have actually opened the door for an even bigger public war later. Think about it. If neither side is legally silenced, then technically anybody involved can eventually tell their version publicly. That means producers, insiders, crew members, friends, former publicists, maybe even actors connected to the film could eventually start talking, too. And Hollywood insiders love talking once they feel safe. That's why people online are already predicting documentaries, podcasts, books, and exclusive interviews over the next couple years, because scandals this massive never really disappear anymore. They evolve into entertainment cycles of their own. Somebody leaks a text, somebody reacts, somebody posts a cryptic quote, then suddenly the entire thing trends again 6 months later. And Blake's reputation problem now goes beyond this single lawsuit. That's the part a lot of people are noticing. Before this controversy, Blake had one of those almost universally protected celebrity images. Stylish, funny, untouchable power couple with Ryanreynolds, Met Gala queen, fashion darling, but now there's this growing split. Online, where some audiences still adore her, while others have completely flipped and started viewing her as manipulative or overly calculated. That image fracture is dangerous in Hollywood, because once audiences split emotionally, studios start getting nervous. And speaking of image problems, the internet absolutely lost it over those stories about Blake allegedly wanting complete silence, while Baldoni reportedly wanted transparency, because now critics are framing the situation like this dramatic battle between control versus exposure. Whether that framing is fully accurate doesn't matter anymore, because it's emotionally satisfying for audiences. People love narratives where the underdog fights back against powerful celebrities. That storyline practically writes itself. Even little things keep getting weaponized now. Ryan Reynolds complimenting Blake on Mother's Day turned into debate. Blake appearing in public gets dissected frame by frame. Old interviews resurface every single day. There are entire communities online dedicated to analyzing the situation like it's a true crime documentary instead of a Hollywood legal battle. And the brutal reality is that internet opinion moves faster than legal reality. A judge could theoretically rule one way, while social media emotionally believes something completely different. We've seen that happen over and over with celebrity scandals. And right now, online gossip spaces overwhelmingly feel fascinated by the possibility that Baldoni may eventually reveal more. That anticipation alone keeps shifting attention toward him instead of Blake. At the same time, people are still debating whether Blake and Ryan simply became victims of their own celebrity bubble. Because when you're adored for years, surrounded by yes people, protected by powerful industry relationships, and constantly treated like the smartest people in every room, it becomes easy to believe you can manage any crisis perfectly. Critics think that confidence may have crossed into arrogance here. And once arrogance becomes part of the public narrative, celebrities almost never recover quickly. You can even see gossip creators comparing the situation to other massive celebrity image collapses where stars spent years carefully building likable public personas only for audiences to suddenly turn cold almost overnight. That's what makes this story so fascinating to people. Blake Lively wasn't viewed as scandal-prone before. She wasn't the celebrity everyone expected to become internet discourse for months straight. But now here we are, and honestly the saddest part in all of this might be that the actual movie itself barely matters anymore. The film became secondary to the behind-the-scenes war. Nobody talks about performances, directing, or storytelling now. Everything revolves around lawsuits, alleged manipulation, leaked tensions, interviews, body language, settlements, and reputation damage. That's how completely the controversy swallowed the project whole. Meanwhile, Baldoni supporters keep saying the biggest reason public opinion shifted was because he never seemed desperate. He didn't appear overly emotional publicly. He didn't go on chaotic social media rants. He mostly let the situation unfold while his team slowly responded piece by piece. And in modern celebrity culture, calmness often gets interpreted as credibility. Now everybody's waiting for the next domino to fall. Will Blake eventually try a major comeback interview? Will Ryan address the controversy more directly? Will Baldoni finally sit down and tell his side fully? Will more alleged receipts appear? Nobody knows yet. But one thing is obvious. This settlement absolutely did not end the story. If anything, it turned the entire Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga into something even bigger, a full Hollywood reputation war where every public appearance, every statement, and every silence from this point forward will get analyzed under a microscope.